Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Southwest Virginia fishing report with Matt Reilly of Matt Reilly Fly Fishing. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great, Marvin. How are you?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble. Took a quick look at your weather, and I mean, it's certainly winter in Southwest Virginia, and I guess that's, an obvious fact. But the good news is you haven't had any rain events probably in 2 weeks, so I bet the water levels are pretty good for fishing.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, we've been kind of pretty low key here the last couple of days because it's been, highs just barely above freezing and snow every other day and winds, like almost every day they're forecasting at least, 15, 20 miles an hour. Gusting heavier than that, particularly on the river, and colder on the river too than they're calling for, which is usually the case. But yeah, the new has been. I mean, it's in as good a shape as it's been for. I mean, at least several months. I mean, we haven't had a ton of rain. Things have cleared up nicely from the last. Big rain event we had back a little after Christmas, and water's clear, but the water's pretty dang cold too. So our musky fishing has been just slowing way down and being pretty intentional about fishing out of current and heavy water and that kind of thing. And then, as always, the trout streams are in great shape. The colder it gets this time of year, the more I tend to lean on those limestone sort of spring influenced creeks because the fishing's almost always better and faster over there. But as far, as we've seen lately, the fishing is still pretty good for the wintertime and conditions are pretty good all around. So it's kind of whatever you want to do right now.
Yeah. And, we were talking before we started recording about, you get to that kind of the lowest point of winter where it gets really, really cold and it makes the musky fishing harder. And I assume it's because you kind of know where they are, but it's so cold that the metabolism they just don't want to eat and they just don't want to chase.
Yeah. I mean, it's some of these things are anybody's guess with those fish, but, we've caught fish down to in those really low water temps, like 34, 35 degrees. But it's definitely not, fishing mid 40 degree water. You're still, you're fishing pretty slow. And then again, just when the fish get that cold, I think they basically avoid any kind of current like the plague. So they're either going deep, like on the bottom of the pools, in the deepest part of the pools, or, just in really good sort of slack water, pieces of water along the bank and whatnot. And we see that on the river pretty regularly, where it just starts to get cold and cold and cold. And all of a sudden you're just not seeing fish anymore. And, even with electricity, out electrofishing for those things, you can shock a really productive winter pool when the water temp is that cold and not even see a fish sometimes because, you can't reach much more than, 10 foot of depth with the probe. So things definitely change. But like you said, the good news is, at some point we're going to kind of turn a corner here in the next couple of weeks. And, February is usually a pretty solid musky month. February, early March, kind of be in the pre-spawn period. And then, the water temps will just start trudging upwards a little bit and up into the low 40s, mid 40s. And they'll just get that much more active, just like anything else. It's all water temp driven.
Yeah, got it. And we've got a question from Rick on the muskie front, and he wanted to know, how do you decide on the flies between small single hook flies and articulated flies with two hooks?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and say right off the bat that there are a couple of, sort of pre-established, like existing fly patterns that are done with that are built on two hooks. Just one hook articulated with another one that I do use. But if I can help it, I really don't care for flies that are built that way. Like I said, there's a couple of really good ones that I do like, but for muskie, pretty much, I really feel you can get away with one hook most of the time in the middle of the fly that you've built. That said, I guess the original question was, small single hook flies versus bigger articulated flies. As far as size goes, from a guiding perspective, I was having a conversation with a client about this a couple hours ago. It's kind of more in my mind about what you can throw all day and not wear yourself out. So, I mean, that's something that I try to do with people is, particularly in the wintertime, I'll try to give them the biggest fly that I think that they can effectively fish for a long period of time, because I just think when the water gets cold and you have more lethargic fish, a bigger fly kind of just, paints with a broader brush and attracts the fish a little bit more. That said, if you can't huck a 10 to 13, 14-inch fly all day, which most people can't, there's nothing wrong with fishing a smaller fly. And, it's advantageous in the muskie world to be able to fish something all day. So if you have to throw a 6-inch fly to fish all day, then that's what you should do. Outside of that, I have had some success using a little bit smaller fly. One, particularly in warmer water, like early in the fall, and then again in the spring a little bit. And then also if you have clear water and sort of the like classic worst case scenario, like really clear water, bright sun, like post cold front, that kind of thing. Sort of in fishing across the board, a lot of times, just downsizing in those kinds of conditions can make something happen. But that's what I would say. The other thing we were talking about a little bit, Marvin, earlier, was with those bigger flies. I mean, like a game changer is a good example. You could easily fish, a 10 or 12-inch game changer with one hook in the middle, I believe, but having another big sort of heavy gauge wire hook in the head sort of helps to keel that fly and keep it swimming, sort of right side up, particularly if you have a fly that's, taller than it is wide in the head. That'll do something for you in terms of how the fly swims and fishes. And it also gives you the opportunity to, if that hook's not doing it, you can sort of lash some lead wraps to the hook end of that hook in the head, and that'll help keep that fly right side up a little bit better. But I guess the sort of short and sweet answer is smaller flies in warmer water, and to kind of give your shoulder a break, and in those sort of tough conditions, and then the bigger flies, all the other situations, but not necessarily with two hooks. In the day and age that we live in now, where we have commercially available shanks to tie on, you can build a 12 or 14-inch fly with one hook in it. And the other thing that I will add to that, which we're getting kind of long-winded here again, but is, sort of my feeling with one hook versus two is that, the first muskie I ever caught, and a few of the ones after that, were all on just two hook flies that were articulated with wire, like a trout streamer. And in all of those cases, those fish ate like the entire fly. They got both hooks in their mouth, and just clamp their mouth shut like they will, like an alligator. And without jaw spreaders, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get their mouths open if they don't want to open them for you. But taking those flies out, both of them, both of those hooks were in the fish's mouth, and neither one of the hooks were buried very deep. So I think you kind of get less bang for your buck on strip sets if you have a fish that eats two hooks, because both of those points kind of dig in and neither goes very far because they're working against each other. It's more dangerous for the fish, more dangerous for you, and it just makes unhooking the fish more difficult. One hook, like I said, almost always the fish is going to eat the fly in the middle. You're going to strip set, and if there's only one hook, the fly will likely fly through the fish's teeth, and you'll get them in the corner of the mouth just about every time. Unhooking is a lot easier because they don't even have to open their mouth. You can just grab the hook and pull it out. And, again, it's a little safer for you too because you don't have to worry about getting their mouths open and digging two hooks out. So I'm a fan of one hook, but, like I said before, size of the fly itself kind of changes with the conditions and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, we love questions at the Articulate Fly. You can email them to us. You can send them to us on our Instagram or our Facebook page. If we use your question, I'll send you some Articulate Fly swag, and then you'll get entered to the drawing at the end of the season. And, as we mentioned last time, we're at the end of the season for 2020. And, Matt, you want to share with folks what we're going to draw for on the next fishing report?
Yeah. So, we got together, my dad and I at the rod company, and we're going to stick this time a 50% off coupon for any rod that he offers on the website in there. On top of, I think what we gave out last year, which was a sticker pack and a selection of sort of my top producing smallmouth flies from every year. So we're going to draw for that next time. Is that the deal?
Yeah, I think that's the deal. We'll draw next time. I've got all the names set. I just have to hit the random number generator.
Sweet. Okay. So we'll be sending that out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it is 2021, but we have to keep the tradition alive. What's on the typewriter?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's been cold out here and windy. So I've been spending a lot of time tying flies and writing, catching up on stuff I've been putting off. But the column that's coming out or that's going out, that'll come out next week, is about the sort of the mechanics, the why, when, and how of the strip set for, just sort of across the board for all the different species and applications that I use it for. And then we've been working on a couple of other, feature assignments for Eastern fly fishing, for one, which is on one of our local trout streams here, one of the ones I guide on. So it's been a fun project. And then we got a couple of assignments rolling for Virginia wildlife too. So one of which is involving muskie in Virginia. So it's there's a lot going on the typewriter right now, and hopefully I can get it done before spring, and so I don't have to think about it after that.
Yeah, there you go. Before I let you hop and get back to your writing chores, you want to let folks know where they can find you, so maybe they can get a muskie date with you or get a pre-spawn smallmouth trip.
Sure thing. Yeah, the website is mattreillyflyfishing.com, and all my contact info is on there. So however you feel best reaching out, I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, listen, folks, I know it's a little bit chilly, but doesn't mean you shouldn't try to go out and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Matt.
All right. Thanks, Marvin.